Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Hi, I'm Lisa Ackberry, your hair doctor, and today we are going to, or this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, whatever time of day it is, for you, today we're going to continue, yes, our book, Black Woman's Guide to Beautiful Hair at Any Age. I'm so excited to be here. We had a great conversation last week, and all of the new members, my family, I call you my family, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, afternoon, or evening. And we're just going to continue in the Black Woman's Guide to Beautiful Hair. I'm a trichologist, and what I do is every day in my institute, I help women with hair and scalp problems. My basic job is hair and scalp analysis, alopecia treatments, and follow-up analysis. And I have a wonderful team at this institute that will help with other things that happen in this huge facility. Now, with that, I want you to come and visit me sometimes. I'm at the World Trichology Institute, and just call my institute or email me. I'll get you and tell me where you are, and I'll get you a good map to where I'm at. Okay, all right. We talked about hair texture and hair type for the most part, but also answer some questions. So I'm going to start with answering questions this morning, and then we're going to talk about the hair, thin hair or coarse hair, thin hair or fine hair, and what's the difference. But I'm also going to talk about porosity and elasticity today and how important that is. But let's get some of these questions. There was a question that says, when we talked, I think was a comment. One of the individuals that made the comment, I think that her concern was whether or not we were covering all the patterns when we spoke about type. She said that she still thinks that leaves out other curl patterns, the zigzag patterns. Well, zigzag pattern usually happens when there's a certain manipulation to the hair shaft. Our hair really doesn't necessarily grow out at a zag or zig. It really grows out at an angle, and then it begins to, like at a slight angle, I'll say it this way, at a slight angle, and then it begins to curve the longer it gets, and then it just curves more and more depending on the actual type of hair it is, and that's strongly genetically linked. So it really doesn't grow out at a zigzag. It grows out at a slight angle if it's curly. If it's straight, it's going to slightly angle, but not near as much. It's going to almost seem straight, but more of an angle if it's curly or kinky. So it depends. So there's medium, slight, and extreme, and there are multiple types on one head. It could be, and it's just, don't worry about it. It's just, if you manipulate your hair, you will get different patterns. Okay, when I think of coarse hair, I think about people who have, and she goes on to say, let's get your question. Most would think the particular pattern. She thought that we would need some visuals. I think visuals are wonderful. I mean, great. When visuals are completely wonderful, and sometimes we should do something like that. Right now, we're going through the book, and I'm just going to talk about some of these things, but thank you for that suggestion. I'm really going to consider doing that. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. There was a question. She said, she also mentioned that someone mentioned that Essence, no, it's the same person. She mentioned that Essence had a nice chart on hair textures and curl patterns, like the one you're familiar with, Dr. Eckberry. I believe both should be used. Okay, that may be good. Yeah, so just maybe you guys should check that out. Thank you so much for that. And we are still here saying some other things. Let's see. The confusion is when it comes when people of color, hair texture, and curl pattern. We need to see it on a board. Yeah, again, really adamant about this family member here, and she's my family member, a subscriber. I say subscribers, but I like family member better because you guys are just like family to me. And so, yeah, she was saying that she thinks that it would be better. So some of us have fine and medium textures of coarse hair. Cosmetologists and their clients will treat all coarse hair the same when they're different. Absolutely. That does happen, unfortunately, but fine and medium deals with the size of the strand, fine hair, medium hair, coarse hair. But you can have extremely spiral hair coupled with fine hair, and you think it's coarse. So this is a conversation that probably will go on and on. Someone says, I did the big chop 2 days ago. Why am I so happy? Because it's liberating. When you first do it, patients are completely liberated from it. I've never done it, but I can see where a lot of women suffer with relaxers and the breakage and the scalp problems, and then the hair not looking right once it's damaged, and it's very liberating. That's why you feel so good. Let's see. Now she said, now it is a whole new ball game. Natural, now what? Which is what most people would wonder. Well, okay, now I've cut my hair off. What do I do? When you say hair vitamin in a jar in your book, are you really talking about products that have vitamins in it? Also, and not just the leave-in conditioner. Well, there are leave-in conditioners. We call it hair vitamin because it actually gives that whole nourishment to the hair. In other words, you're basically, when you put topicals on your hair, it's not like putting an oral vitamin in. When I say nourishment, I mean protecting, preserving, keeping that hair looking healthy. And so our leave-in conditioner is called hair vitamin. Okay, I thought I had some other questions, but I guess I don't, guys. All right, well, let's get right to our book. First, we want to talk about the difference between thin hair and fine hair. And I did touch on that a little bit. As soon as this stops, I'm going to turn it off. I did touch on that a little bit, but what I wanted to really bring home with you guys is that fine hair is hair that has lost all of its cuticle, and phones are probably going to ring like crazy in a minute, but we're just going to keep on going as if we don't hear them. Okay, fine hair is hair that has lost all of its cuticle, and thin hair. Guys, I'm sorry, I was distracted by the phone. Thin hair. Fine hair is just a small strand. When some fine strands don't have as many cuticle layers as some other women with fine hair. It depends. It's all strongly genetically linked. But when you have thin hair, then that means you've gone beyond fine. It's limp. It won't hold style. It won't have body. If you have just fine hair, deep conditioning and treating your hair properly, keeping it clarified, not using heavy products on it, then your hair will have body and fullness. But thin hair cannot look full. Fine hair can look full. There's a big difference. Fine hair is just a small strand. Thin hair is a damaged strand, or strand that's lost. It has changed textures unnaturally beyond fine. And when we look at that hair under the microscope, we can view that. Okay, I wanted to say that for people who had questions about that. Porosity and elasticity. Okay, hair porosity is the ability of the hair to absorb its moisture, hair products, chemicals, and good porosity within your hair strands is very, very important, because you are going to have even distribution of your product, better product placement with good porosity. It allows your hair to maintain the correct moisture level or retain it. It doesn't just dissipate. You put product on and it just seems to dissipate, or it seems to go in your hair. Oh, I hear patients say, oh, my hair just soaks up product. It correct moisture, oils, protein levels are balanced when the porosity is good. And you need that. You need strong protein levels balanced and hydrated moisture levels balanced. There's a delicate moisture and protein level within the shaft. The hair shaft itself is made of protein mostly. So people say I'm protein sensitive. It's usually because they're using protein and they're out of balance with the moisture. Your hair can take protein. It needs protein. If you don't put protein on, then it's going to dry out. But become weak. But if you don't put protein and moisture combinations, then you will dehydrate and you'll feel like you're protein sensitive. Okay. Your hair will be more radiant with a good porosity. When porosity becomes poor, again, as I said, your hair will absorb products faster, chemicals. Your hair becomes damaged or overprocessed easier. It will also be hardest for the moisture levels to stay balanced. Many women complain, and I'm reading from my book, many women complain that their hair seems to drink up the moisture. You heard me just say that. Their hair is dry and brittle. If you feel your hair is dry and brittle, if it breaks easily, usually we've got some porosity issues. Yes. The reason for this is that the strands, cuticle top layers, have been worn and thinned away, and they're not functioning as they should. When the porosity is not where it should, the cuticle layers just kind of sit up. And I know what you mean about that visual. I just like to read from the book and have a conversation with you. And I don't have the charts, but I may do that later on. But right now we're just going to talk, okay? And that's what's beautiful about our every Thursday morning conversations, is we just talk. And you listen, I listen, you write me, I'm loving it. Okay. Elasticity. Poor elasticity. The hair has lost its ability to stretch without breaking. Your hair, when you work with your hair, yeah, you can see the spiral, but in addition to that, when I'm pulling my hair is actually stretching. If my hair didn't stretch, this whole group of strands would just fall off in my hand. Not only would it would stay at the scalp, part of it, but the part that I'm pulling, see, I would have hair in my hands. Because the hair has to have good elasticity. When your cuticle layers become torn and split within the body, we've heard of split ends, but we're speaking within the body of the shaft. That's why it's crucial, guys, for us to be very careful when we work with our hair. And when you just work through tangles or you rake through them from the ends, what you're creating are microscopic tears along your shaft. When that occurs, then your elasticity becomes poor. Your layers begin to lift. Porosity becomes poor. Once you lose enough of those layers, you've lost the required amount of elasticity that holds the hair together. So there's a certain amount you have to have, and you can't have that if you've lost your cuticle layers, if they're lifting and torn. So when the hair is pulled, manipulated, shampooed, conditioned, anything you do, you can even touch it sometimes and hair comes out. And that's because there's some elasticity issues there. You've lost that. Your hair is breaking very easily. Very, very important. Let's see. The way you want to check your elasticity, and it's in my book if you, whenever you get a chance to get it, and you check your elasticity. I think, let me see, porosity. Okay. Poor porosity occurs when the hair is damaged, and we're going to talk about that. And this is more than one or two places. I'm just going to talk about checking that too. Okay, you can check your elasticity by taking your fingers and sliding down the strand and pulling, gently pulling, as you saw me do earlier. Immediately, the hair should pop back into place. If it pops off, it's poor elasticity. I mean, that's so understandable how that works. Okay, it's really important for us to have good elasticity and good porosity. Let's talk for a minute. If we are manipulating, braiding, combing our hair, twisting our hair, If our elasticity is not good, our hair will break. Many women who wear protective styles, and these protective styles help us to keep our hair from breaking. We call them protective styles. Well, protective styles cover up the problem. My recommendation is to start deep conditioning your hair once or twice a week, depending. If you have problems with your hair, weak hair breaking, twice a week using a Porosity and Moisture, once a week for maintenance. I understand that we do not want to shampoo, but you want to, many of you, but you want to clarify your hair, and then you want to deep condition your hair. This will keep your moisture levels balanced. Your cuticle layers won't do this. It will stay nice and tight, and you'll have a good stretch to the hair without it detaching or breaking. The protective styles allow you to obtain length, but it does not keep your hair healthy. So if you leave your hair out of these protective styles for a period of time, you'll notice your hair will start to get shorter. But if you deep condition your hair, you can still wear your protective styles for your convenience, but you need to deep condition that hair. If you deep condition, you will have strong and hydrated hair. A short tour today, a short cyber reading today. I'm Lisa Agberry, your hair doctor. I want to hear your questions, guys. Next week, we're going to talk about naturally yours, kinky hair, the importance of moisture, a little bit few natural styles, caring for kinky hair. We're getting to the ends of the book. Look, we just have a few more pages. Look how much we've read. Look how much we have left. I'm Lisa Agberry, your hair doctor. To God be the glory in Jesus. Thank you so much. I love you, family. I will see you next week right here on Ask the Hair Doctor. Keep the questions coming. Bye-bye.